Hi everyone, this is Vishen Lakhiani and welcome to this masterclass on how to discover your hidden edge. So as you can tell, many of our masterclasses are done in these elaborate studios in LA or New York. This one is in my bedroom. I am here at home because we are still under quarantine and filming hasn't officially begun again. But the important thing to understand is that it's about the value of the content and not the fancy studios. The fancy studios is because Mindvalley is so obsessed with quality, with artistry. Usually when I film this, there's 20 different videographers and filmmakers and editors and directors in a room. But this time it's just you and me. I, in fact, haven't even had a haircut in 3 months. And I can tell you, below this fancy t-shirt, I'm basically just in gym shorts. And I don't know, you may be watching this in your underwear. No judgment there. But the point of this masterclass is how to discover your hidden edge. I'm going to share with you the exact exercise I did in August 2016 that transformed my life and became the basis for chapter 1 of The Buddha and the Badass. And speaking of The Buddha and the Badass, my new book, thank you so much everyone for your support. The book just became the #1 best-selling business hardcover book in America and hit the #1 spot on the Wall Street Journal. So since this book is about work, getting on the Wall Street Journal was a big deal, but I never would have guessed it would have hit the #1 spot. But thank you to all of my fans out there, all the Mindvalley fans. I'm so grateful and I'm looking forward to getting this wisdom out to you. Now, it couldn't be more timely that this book gets out to the #1 spot on the Wall Street Journal because this book is now being turned into a new program called Be Extraordinary at Work. You see the books back there? Those are my 2 New York Times bestsellers. Be Extraordinary at Work is my first entrepreneurship program. It combines key ideas from Code of the Extraordinary Mind with the Buddha and the Badass to create a framework for entrepreneurs to completely transform the world, transform their business. And look, in this day and age, when I say entrepreneur, it doesn't mean you have to own your own business. You could be working for someone, you could be you could be a freelancer, but basically if you care about what you want to do and you want to give your gifts to the world and you want to succeed magnificently at it, you're an entrepreneur and intrapreneur, and these ideas are for you. So we're going to come to the idea in today's masterclass, and this exercise that you're going to learn, if you've purchased The Buddha and the Badass, you'll read about this in chapter 1, but reading about it is different from actually going through it. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to take you through this exercise. Now, when I completed this exercise, I ended up with a piece of paper. This is actually it. This is from August 2016 when I did this with Dreamer, the person I'm going to introduce you to. You're going to end up with something similar. So what I need you to do right now is to make sure you have a pen and a journal because we are going to get started. One of the most highlighted quotes from the Buddha and the Badass is this, and I'm going to read it out to you, and I want you to pay attention, close your eyes, and think what this means. The soul's experience on earth is not meant for hard work and toil. It's meant for freedom, ease, and expansion. Reflect on that for a moment. I wrote this down because as I speak and travel to the world to speak and interview many of the world's top spiritual gurus, and I ask people, what does it mean to be truly spiritual? What are things how do you know when you're truly embracing your spirituality? Are you seeing energy? Are you feeling in more blissful states? And the one common thing I hear is this: life just gets easy. That's what they say. Life just gets easy. It doesn't mean that you're resigning from the world. It doesn't mean you're going in endless introspection and meditation. In fact, you're more driven to change the world. You're more driven to go out there and shake things up and shift things and change things. But that change, that disruption is easy. And as you do it, you are not breaking down. You're not ruining your health. You're not stressed out. You're not overwhelmed. It's just easy. And this is what happens when you learn to bring spirituality into the workplace. The Buddha and the Badass is really about the 2 archetypes, the inner Buddha, which is your inner spiritual master, but also your inner badass, that person inside you who wants to go out there and climb the career ladder and grow your income and build products and services that change the world. You could be a badass as an entrepreneur, a badass as a scientist, a badass as a writer, a badass working for a company. But as long as you are able to merge your badassery with your spirituality, you can unlock gifts within you that you never knew were there. And that to me is the true recipe for truly succeeding at your work and your career. So why is this topic so important right now? I'm going to read you A quote from the Buddha and the Badass. Every person's life unfolds in a way that is unique to them. Each significant event you experience leaves a trace. Every high, every low, every elation, every suffering. These experiences shape you into who you are meant to be. And when you decode them, you'll discover that the universe has a plan for who you are meant to be. You are here to fill your unique role, career, and mission. Your greatest job is to uncover these unique values, stay true to them, and act from them. In short, everything that you experience in life, what if everything you experience in life is part of a unique plan that creates a unique unfolding of your life that is unique to you? All of us have a unique soul print, just like we have a unique fingerprint. And that soul print is built up by our suffering, by our elation, by our peaks, by our lows. But most of us don't pay any attention to those things. They are part of our history. They are part of our pain. They are part of our past memories. They are part of pictures you may have on Instagram. But what if we can see and connect the dots between these things and uncover why we are here? What if there's a higher power or a soul trying to give you a hint, but you aren't listening? So, in both my books, I coin a word called the beautiful destruction. And the beautiful destruction is this. You see, I believe that there are two parts to who we are. There are two parts to you. There's your conscious mind, and then there is your superconscious. The superconscious is a word that psychologists and people who study spirituality often refer to as the soul. And I believe that both of these have to be in alignment. Now, many people are so stubborn that they refuse to listen to their soul, and instead they follow what everyone else is doing. They become outputs of a giant human photocopy machine. They follow the ideas, the beliefs, the career path, the methodologies, the systems of people generations ago without questioning these things. But every now and then, our soul decides, okay, I can't let so-and-so go down this path. I need to give them a hint. And that's when your soul breaks something. That's when you might end up in hospital. But from that time in hospital, you discover that you need to take a complete new look towards your health. Or maybe your business goes bankrupt. Or maybe you lose your job. But through that failure, you understand what to do in your next career, in your next business. Maybe someone breaks your heart. But because of that, as painful as it is, you understand how to show up in your next relationship. What if all the pain we experience in the world is nothing more than a beautiful destruction brought on by our soul to set us on the right path? Michael Beckwith, who is one of my favorite spiritual philosophers, a man I refer to in both books, he talks about this philosophy from Zen, Satori moments and Kensho moments. He says we can grow through Kensho, which is growth from pain, or we can grow from Satori, which is growth through insight. So Kensho moments are growth from temporary pain. If you look at this graph over here, you'll see the Kensho moments. These are when there's a dip in your quality of life. But notice after every dip, you bounce back. Think back. Pretty much after every suffering, something made you stronger. But at the same time, what if you could bypass the suffering? What if you could tap into intuition, into insight? That's a Satori moment. You are growing through insight. Now, as you grow in your self-awareness is often moving towards a life where Kensho is guiding you, to where Satori is guiding you, where you are so in tune with yourself that you're growing through insight and not pain. And I hope this exercise here will teach you how to move towards Satori and avoid pain. Now think about that for a moment. Growing from pain versus growing from insight. What would you rather have? So we're going to go on a journey where you're going to develop and hopefully see one of the most profound Satori moments in your life, where the dots of what's been happening in your past suddenly begin to connect and you see a new path to your future. That's what we're hoping to accomplish in this masterclass. Now, for those of you who are new to Mind Valley and who may be new to my work, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So if you've been following me, you will know that my ideas through the Code of the Extraordinary Mind, through Mind Valley, have been very influential on people all across the world. Currently, I've had athletes from every major US sports team talk about the philosophies, the ideas, the mindsets that I've put out. Tony Gonzalez just mentioned me in the New York Times earlier this year. Bianca Andreescu beat Serena Williams at the US Open. She's one of my students, and when they asked her how she beat Serena, She held up a copy of The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And you'll start to see why so many athletes talk about these ideas. Miguel recently came out in Billboard magazine talking about how he uses my meditation, the 6-phase meditation, before he goes on concert. That's his entire team meditating to the 6-phase. So why is it that sports stars, that celebrities are using these ideas? It's because they instantly see a performance increase. When they take these methodologies and they go out onto the field, they instantly see their points go up. A performer would see his performance on stage. But when you apply this to work, what do you think is going to happen? Your work, your career, your work output goes up too. And this is what's starting to happen now. So I've been super grateful this past 1 year. I've been invited to speak at Google. I'm currently, that is me with one of the most phenomenal leaders in the Malaysian government, training 700 government workers. That is me at the United Nations. That is me interviewing Sri Sri Ravi Shankar in India, one of India's biggest spiritual gurus. The reason I share these pictures with you is so you know that these ideas are not fluff. They are not basic. These ideas are now being embraced in world-class companies, in top performers, in sports, in music, in business, in government, in spirituality. And these ideas are expanding across the world. Now, one of the reasons why I think so many people have been utilizing these ideas is because I'm actually applying them in the field. So I'm not just a writer or a teacher teaching you how to use your mind, and I'm not a business consultant. I've actually built a massive company. Mind Valley today employs 300 people and about 150 contractors. That's a 450-person team where we're doing incredibly well. We've been growing at around 50% year on year. And what I'm seeking to build is the world's biggest education company. And I'm really excited about the journey that we're on, and thank you for being part of this. But all of this started in 2003 in New York City when I stumbled upon some of these ideas as I was working for a Silicon Valley startup. As I started bringing these ideas into my life, my career exploded. I'm talking about I was 26 years old when I started exploring these ideas. One of the first things that happened is that I got promoted 3 times in 4 months. At 26 years old, I was made director of sales for a Silicon Valley company. That's me. I was shipped out to New York to lead that company's New York division. But later on, I decided I wanted to do something even more challenging. And to me, the most challenging thing was starting my own business. So I started Mind Valley, and I'm proud to say that this year, we will surpass close to 100 mil in revenue. We're on track. But here's the funny thing, right? We're the first edtech company I know of that's hitting this number with no VC funding. See, I built Mind Valley in Malaysia, in a developing country. We're an American company, but back then I couldn't get my American visa. It's not as easy as one might think, so I had to move back to my home country. Being so far away from the US meant no access to capital, no access to some of the brain power I might have in New York or Silicon Valley. But because I was focused on these ideas, these spiritual concepts that I was bringing to my work life, nothing could stop me. And though it took a little bit longer, it took about 15 years, I was able to build a highly successful business. It is this formula that I'm now teaching to other entrepreneurs because I believe it's so valuable. And a key part of this formula, which is in chapter 1 of The Buddha and the Badass, you're about to go through in this masterclass. Now, one of the great things about Mind Valley, and one of the things I'm most proud of, is the sheer number of lives we change. You can go to stories.mindvalley.com. That's a screenshot of what you'll see. We're getting close to 100 stories a day since we put up this website. These are stories of all the various Mind Valley teachers and the lives that they have transformed. And if you want to hear about the impact that my particular teachings are having on people, just go to that link down there and you can see I'm about to hit 1,200 stories. Probably I'll hit that number today. And most of the stories from my students have to do with applying the mind to transforming their work and their career, because that's what I'm excited about. I am excited about spiritual truth, but I'm mainly excited about taking spiritual truth and applying it to what you do, combining the Buddha and the Badass. So go check that out if you've never heard of me and you're curious how powerful these ideas are, because I want you to understand and I want you to be fully committed in this class. So let's begin. While I got to build an incredible business, it wasn't always easy. a few years ago, I was on the verge of bankruptcy. And this is what happened. And I share this story in my book. What happened was I was having a phone call. It was 11 p.m. in where I was at in Malaysia. And this phone call was with Sri Kumar Rao, the famous MBA professor living in New York. Rao, he had been teaching classes at Columbia, at London Business School, at Kellogg, an incredible teacher who taught classes on personal mastery. Rao would combine the lessons from ancient spiritual teachers and bring it into the modern MBA program. So we were just having a regular conversation about, I forget, maybe he was coming on my podcast or something. And Rao, being as observant as he is, after the regular business part of our conversation, he said, Vishen, is everything okay? And I knew he had detected something. Maybe it was my voice. Maybe it was the way I was on the phone call. But I knew that he could tell I was in pain. You see, what I hadn't told Rao is that the business was losing money. I was struggling. I was doubting myself as a CEO. I felt I was failing. I was going through a really difficult thing, a really difficult period, because I was in the publishing industry back then. And due to new technologies, the publishing industry was being absolutely devastated. And Rao listened patiently to my pain. And he said, Vishen, can I read you a poem? And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this isn't the time for poetry. I just want to go to sleep. But out of respect, I thought, all right, I'll listen to Rao. And he read me this poem. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety. But if I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me, and without any pain. From this I understand that what I want also wants me, is looking for me, and attracting me. There is a great secret in this for anyone who can grasp it. He then asked me, what did that poem mean to you? And I'm like, I want to know what that secret is. And Rao told me, it will come. You will start to understand this. Now, I didn't understand it then, but I was to understand it. And today, I talk about this poem with so much love. I'm going to come to what that great secret is, but I want you to reflect on this poem. What do you think this poem is about? Now, just a tip. I put this poem in chapter 1 of my book, and I close Buddha and the Badass with this poem. It is that significant to me. This poem was written in the 13th century by Rumi. Rumi was an Afghan refugee. He was fleeing the Mongol invasion, and he had moved to a city called Damascus in Syria. Damascus had become like sort of a center of spirituality in the 13th century when all of Asia and the Middle East was being gutted by the Mongols. And Rumi was a teenage boy back then, but he would write this poem later in his life. Now, I didn't get it back then. I'd been studying the mind, I'd been studying meditation, but I didn't get that I was using my mind to push, to force things, to try to make things happen. But there is a second level, and this is the level that Rumi is talking about, where you stop running after what you think you want, but instead you sit in your own place of patience, and what you need flows to you without any pain. In the modern Western world, this philosophy is often called the philosophy of surrender, popularized by the book The Surrender Experiment. Now, how do we get into this stage where what we truly need just flows to us? I didn't understand it, and I didn't know how to get there. But I started to see, okay, maybe what I was chasing wasn't what I really needed. How could I sit in my place of patience, listen to my soul, and let the direction I'm meant to be on come to me? I didn't get the answer until several years later. And when that answer and that methodology came to me, everything shifted. It is that methodology that I'm going to teach you here today. So first, I want you to commit. What I'm going to teach you is a powerful technique. I am not kidding when I say that this is the most valuable piece of paper I have in my life. And I'm not kidding when I tell you that once you discover this methodology, your life is going to shift. But I must give you a warning. You might experience the beautiful destruction, which means some aspect of your life as you know it today that isn't serving you is going to get destroyed so that you can be oriented on the right path. And you must be ready for that. Now, I can promise you this. The beautiful destruction, if you experience it, will be temporary pain for a lifetime of greater bliss and fulfillment. Embrace it. But as you do this exercise, insights, ahas, revelations are going to come to you. And I want you to commit that you are going to listen. So place your hand in your heart and mentally say, I commit to going on this education experience with you, Vishen. Ready? Now, let's start with a quick survey. To truly transform, you must be able to compare the person you were with the person you have now transformed into. And so I'm going to ask you to do this quick survey. And at the end of this masterclass, and probably a few weeks from now, you're going to actually go back to this survey results and you're going to see how much you've grown. Okay, so take out a piece of paper or your journal and you're going to write down and rate yourself on the following 8 things. These are the 8 things that happen when you go through this methodology. The first is, how aligned do you feel you are with your purpose? Do you feel that you know exactly why you were born, exactly why your soul is here, and that you are living that purpose? Rate yourself from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being excellent. Number 2, how happy are you with your ability to grow and expand your influence? Do you wish you could reach more people? Or do you find that your skills, your qualities, the knowledge that you're putting out is getting to as wide an audience as you want? Number 3, improving your company culture or your team culture. How amazing do you feel at work, working with your team, running your company? Or do you feel that your team stresses you out? Do you feel that, there's bad energy or bad vibes in your workplace? Rate yourself from 1 to 5. Number 4, your growth mindset. How happy are you with the strength of your growth mindset? What this means is that, are you growing every single day? I think of growth mindset like this. Grow so fast that your friends who haven't stayed in touch have to get to know you all over again every 30 days. This means that every 30 days, you are seeing the world in a radically new way because you are growing that rapidly. Number 5, bigger and bolder. Thinking bigger and bolder. How happy are you with the size of your dreams? Can you see yourself as being one of the world experts in whatever you do, say in the next 5 years? How big can you get with those dreams? Number 6, self-awareness. How aware are you of what's going on inside? How aware are you of your emotions or your thinking? People who practice meditation say that at a certain point, they experience something almost called the two-mind effect. And what this means is that they have an observer that can observe what is going on in their head, and they're able to neutralize anything that's negative before it goes forth in the world. How aware are you of what's going on in your head? How much are you observing your own thoughts, your own emotions, and thus able to control them? That is what we mean by self-awareness. Again, 1 to 5. Number 7, optimizing your business. And what this means is, how optimized is your business? What if I told you that you can learn techniques that can double your rate of productivity, so that things are so optimized you don't have to work a full 8-hour day? Or if you choose to work a full 8-hour day, what happens is that you can get so much more done, maybe 50% more in any given hour, and you could make that leap in the next 6 weeks. Number 8, becoming unstoppably resilient, which means no matter what happens, you lose a business, a product fails, you get fired, it doesn't matter. You're able to embrace it and move through. How resilient are you? And if you're ready, you can now put down your pen. Now again, that's an honest self-assessment. No one is judging you. No one is watching you. But I'm going to show you how to get there. So this is the poem that I shared with you earlier. After we've chatted for a while, you'll probably start looking at this a little bit different. But the thing is, you see, so often in philosophy, we have these profound ideas. We understand, okay, there is a situation where we can move into a state of surrender, and apparently life gets easy, but how do we get there? And this is where the practical aspect comes in. Now, I didn't figure out the practical aspect until a few years later. What happened was, I had a chance meeting with this man. His name is Amir Ahmad, or rather his name was Amir Ahmad. He's since changed it to Dreamer Starlight. Now, this was shortly before Amir took me through the exercise that changed my life, the exercise you're about to go through. We'd met up for coffee at a Starbucks. We took this selfie. I found it on my phone, and I wanted to share it with you. Now, the funny connection between Amir and Rumi is this. Just like Rumi, Amir was a refugee. Amir was fleeing Sudan because back then Sudan was a dictatorship, and Amir was sort of a freedom blogger, not a freedom fighter, but a freedom blogger. He ran a blog where he was openly sharing his political views, which was not allowed under that dictatorship. And Amir had to seek asylum in Canada. So in every sense of the word, he was a refugee. I just thought it was really interesting that the initial insight in this masterclass came from a refugee 700 years ago. And the conclusion, the way to get there, is coming from a modern day refugee. Why this is interesting is because today, June 20th, as I'm recording this, it is International Refugee Day. It's just beautiful how sometimes the universe just moves in this beautiful synchronicity. So today's International Refugee Day, and I'm so excited that I'm actually sharing with you wisdom from two refugees. Now, Amir and I were having coffee that day. And after that, he said, you know, Vishen, you're running Mind Valley wrong. So I was a little bit taken aback. You see, Amir had worked for me in his younger years before he had moved to Canada. Amir had worked for me. His father was a professor in Malaysia. He had moved to Malaysia at the age of 22. He joined Mind Valley. He was with us for about 4 years before he wrote a book. He was that brilliant. He wrote a book that the book was called My Islam, it was about how democratization was changing and transforming the political landscape of the Muslim world. That book in 2013 had made Foreign Policy Magazine's list of the top 25 must-read books of 2013. So this 26-year-old kid was all of a sudden thrust into the public eye. He was sharing the stage at the Oslo Freedom Forum with the founder of Wikipedia. He was invited to speak at MIT, at Harvard. He was invited on Bill Maher. He couldn't get to speak in many of these places because, again, he couldn't get an American visa. That's how ridiculous the world was. But Amir was a brilliant thinker. And now he had spent 4 years working for me. He had gone on to fame. And now we had come back to reconnect for coffee. He was now in his early 30s, perhaps, somewhere around there. And he had the chutzpah to tell me that I was running my business wrong. So obviously, you know, when somebody tells you that, you feel a little bit resistant. But then he slowly peeled back the layers and he made me do the exercise that would change my life. You see, what Amir pointed out to me is that I wasn't running a business based on why my soul put me here. I was chasing what I thought was the acceptable path to success. In fact, I was chasing so bad, and all of us are chasing goals, ideas, visions that are coming to us outside ourselves from what in my book I now call the culturescape. You see, I was running Mind Valley, but at the same point, I was trying to fit and run the business in a way where society told me it was acceptable. And it wasn't working. Amir pointed out to me that I was neglecting my own inner values, and he introduced me to this idea called the soul print. And then he took me through the exercise where I discovered my soul print, and it was so profound. I went back and I changed the entire company, and I changed how I showed up in life, and I changed how I was communicating. And you could say this was a coincidence, or maybe not, but from August 2016 to today, the company started growing at the fastest rate ever, 50% year on year. And it was truly remarkable. I want to share something with you. That year, 2016, for the first half of the year, I was losing a lot of money. And you see, something had gone wrong with part of our technology. We were using an email service provider that got acquired by a bigger company. To not go deep into technology, let's just think of it as the connections, the pipes broke, and our emails were not being delivered. Our customers were not aware of what offers, what products, what masterclasses were out, and it was devastating. We were bleeding money every single month. In August, I did the exercise with Amir, and the next 6 months, we generated enough money to overcome 1 year of losses, and the company continued growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. What changed? My entire idea of who I was and what Mindvalley was. And it came from this exercise. Now, I'm going to take you through this, but first I know some of you are going to have some doubts. Is this for everyone? Like, some of you may be thinking, well, I don't want a big company. Well, I'm not a decision maker. Will this matter to me? And the answer is yes. You can be an entrepreneur. You can be a CEO. You could be a person who just joined another company. If you apply this soul print concept, you will discover what is your genius, what is your gifts, what is the magic within you. And when you bring that to your work, everything changes. This is the Mindvalley team today. It's right now we have people from 60 different countries. But when I first started, the team was basically me and my dog. This is our office today, an office that made Inc. magazine, World's Most Beautiful Offices 2019. But when I started, that was the office. That is literally what it looked like. And every now and then we couldn't work from that office in the back of a warehouse because the electricity would go down. So we had to work from our employees' homes. I went from that to that. So no matter where you are, you can be crappy, you can be small, you can be just starting out. These ideas are going to change your life. That is the diner today where people, get together for lunch at Mindvalley. It's beautiful. That table with those plastic bags and that cheap ass food, that's where we ate just a few years ago. Everything changes no matter where you are. When you tap into this magic within, your life can unfold in beautiful ways. Now, it doesn't matter what station you are. If you're an entrepreneur, what you're going to learn here is how to discover that unique soul print and implant it in your business so your business takes off. You're also going to discover how when you figure out that soul print, what to focus on. And when you start focusing on your soul print, which is why you were born, life moves with ease. Now, maybe you're not an entrepreneur. Maybe you work for someone. Maybe you work for a company, and so you're a career person. If you care about your career, if you want to bring magic to your career, if you want to grow in your career, you need to discover your magic. Yes, be aligned with your company vision, but you must have your own vision, your own values, that own inner drive. And when you do that, your career will explode. Now, some of you may be saying, well, look, I'm just a junior person in this company. Will I be allowed to do this? Yes. In fact, your boss, your CEO, may not even notice that you are suddenly aligned with your values, but what they will notice is that the work that you're producing is at a whole different level. You are more likely to get promoted. You're more likely to move into leadership roles. You're more likely to see your salary go up when you're authentic to your soul. And especially in the world right now, this is important because the world is going through a rebirth. It's everywhere. We're about to go through an economic crisis. Millions of people are losing their jobs. We're in the midst of a quarantine. And I believe that this is a Satori moment and a Kensho moment for our species. The Kensho moment is the pain of this upheaval. The Satori moment is billions of people around the world are discovering a new way of showing up in the world. They are being forced to rethink their lives and create new visions for the future. And you have a choice. You can choose to take part in all the chaos of the world, and of course some of that chaos is inevitable, but you can also choose to understand why you are here and what you're meant to unveil in the midst of this chaos to shift your life and move the human species forward. That Satori moment that's going to come from you discovering your soul print can change not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. We are at the perfect moment for you to go through this idea. So let's get started with introducing to you your soul print. Every significant event you experience leaves a trace in your life. Every high, every low, every elation, every suffering. These experiences are designed to shape you into who you are meant to be. The problem is, most people are not aware of these experiences. You're about to go and learn to connect the dots and see how these experiences give you your unique identifier, just like your fingerprint, but your soul print. Now, Amir says that within all of us, there are a certain seed. Call these seeds values. These seed values are what gives you and whatever you create that special edge. More than that, they make your work meaningful to you so you know you've truly made a dent in the world. Market research, data, customer surveys are subservient to your values. Now, let me tell you what that means. I learned that if I was going to launch a new program from Mindvalley, The old way I was doing it before 2016 was I'd look at market data. I would look at what authors were applying. We had an inbox and we would get 3,000 authors applying to Mindvalley every single day. Sorry, every single year. Now what happened was when I got in touch with my soul print, that shifted. I shut down that inbox. Now I am pulled towards the right author we need to publish. It's hard to explain, guys, but the right person at the right time comes into my life. Jim Kwik, John and Missy Butcher, Donna Eden, all the incredible famous Mindvalley authors, we connected through a synchronicity. And what happened is that in almost every single situation, in fact, I'd say every single situation, that connection caused something beautiful to happen and a new program to come into the world. I listen to market data, but I'm not subservient to it. I'm subservient to this unfolding that happens that brings me the right person at the right time. And that gives us an edge. When you learn this, you understand why even men like Steve Jobs, he said he doesn't do market research. He doesn't listen to customers. He is able to download ideas and he knows what to bring to the world. I'm not saying don't look at data. I'm saying look at data, but that data should follow the inner knowing, not the other way around. So Amir changed his name to Dreamer Starlight when he immigrated and gained asylum in Canada. And these ideas that you're about to learn have now been used. He's worked with these ideas in companies like Disney and Marvel. He's worked with storytellers from these organizations. He's now coached Fortune 500 executives, Forbes 30 Under 30, Emmy and Grammy Awards. And he has a new book coming out, which you'll hear about soon. What Amir explains is that the first step is you must understand the difference between organizational values and foundational values. So now this particular part is for the entrepreneurs who are listening. You see, many entrepreneurs, and I made this mistake. I openly share this mistake in my book, Buddha and the Badass. I talk about how when I was starting out Mindvalley, I didn't really understand the concept of values. I read about an exercise that Tony Hsieh at Zappos did, where he brought all his people together and he had people come up with the values, right? The values of the company. And then he put these values together and he came up with sort of a map of values, a clustering of values. So we did a similar exercise in 2008 with our team. Amir was part of our team back then, so he had observed that exercise and we came up with what we called 10 values for the company. These included things such as turn customers into raving fans, always innovate, kick serious ass. Yes, that was actually a value. I evolved through learning, and so on. These were the clusters that my team back then came up with. It was around 20 to 30 people, I forget the exact number. What I realized is that these organizational values have a place, but what was missing was my foundational values. You see, as Amir explained, if you're an entrepreneur, what if you were chosen to start a particular business? What if the universe chose you to birth something new to the world? And what if the universe had been seeding you all along with the right insights, the right qualities, the right values to put into this creation? But what if you weren't listening? Turns out I wasn't listening. I had a set of values across my life that had been put in me. These were put in through Kensho moments to wake me up to certain things I had to infuse into my creation Mindvalley. But I wasn't listening. I was only paying attention to the organizational values, which was a fun exercise for my team, but wasn't really the point of Mindvalley. Now, Amir explains it this way. What you're seeing there is an image of the U.S. Constitution. He said, the U.S. Constitution is sacrosanct, and throughout history, it is only amended after significant measures for major important reasons, unforeseen or blatantly ignored by America's founding fathers. Okay? Now, he says, your personal foundational values are the Constitution. Organizational values are like the laws passed by Congress. What this means is that your foundational values, which is coming from your seed as an entrepreneur, the seed of your soul, this is your constitution. These nobody gets to mess with. This is what you infuse into your company. As you build a team, that team can create different organizational values depending on what the company is going through. So if the company is going through a period of innovation, organizational value may be innovation. But the constitution for the company that comes from the soul of the founders. If you're one founder, it's you. If it's a group of founders, it's that group of founders. Now, if you're working for a company, think of yourself as an entrepreneur embedded within the company. You have your company values, great, but more important than that, you must know your values and know how your values can serve your company values. We're going to go deeper into that, but this diagram from the Buddha and the Badass might help you understand. Your foundational values come from the founder, the organizational values come from the team, but the foundational values are what really build a remarkable business. The Constitution is what really builds a remarkable country. Now, the problem is, most of us don't really recognize our foundational values, the seed implanted in our soul. Instead, we live values based on culture, religion, parents, politics, and our company. And again, nothing wrong with that. Culture, religion, parents, your political party, company you work for, they give you values, but these values should never supersede your soul, just like the laws of Congress should never supersede the US Constitution. So I hope this is clear. Now, let's go through a step-by-step method to uncovering your soul print. This is the method outlined in Chapter 1 of the Buddha and the Badass, but what we're going to go here is guide you through the steps, and there are 5 steps to this. The first is you're going to reflect on your peaks and your pain. Then you're going to dig in to find your soulmate, your soul print, not your soulmate, but that would be nice. You're going to distill these into, it's called a distillation. I'm going to show you what that means. You're going to name your values, your foundational values, then you're going to adapt your brand to that. Okay, and this applies whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working for a company. So, ready? Get a pen ready, get your journal open. Let's start with step 1. Step 1 is reflect on your peaks and pains. Now, many of you showing up for the masterclass, I asked you to prepare this. If you haven't prepared, don't worry. But basically, what Amir made me do was to think about my life. What were the most painful moments in my life? What were the most glorious moments in my life? And patterns started to emerge. I remembered my childhood. I remembered my mom being a public teacher. I remembered my mom buying me the Encyclopedia Britannica. This was in the days before the internet. And she had saved up and she'd got me this beautiful set of encyclopedias. I must have read every encyclopedia back to back, maybe 10 times. I was 7 years old. That set of books changed my life. I fell in love with learning. And I think also my mom being a teacher made me really, because I looked up to my mom, made me see learning, education, teaching as truly noble. That was a peak moment. I also had painful moments. I shared a little bit earlier. I couldn't get a visa to the US, but that was actually half the story. You see, in 2003, 2 years after September 11, the world was a very different place. And the US back then implemented something called special registration. You see, what that meant is because I was born in Malaysia, I couldn't live in the US without going through a series of really insane security checks. I couldn't use certain airports. I couldn't board a plane without a two-hour interview. I couldn't get off a plane without a 2-hour interview. And every 4 weeks, I had to report to the American government for fingerprinting, to have my photograph taken, and to give them my credit card so they could track my purchases. And I loved America. I'd lived there for 9 years. I was married to a European, and we wanted our kids born in the US. But after 3 months of that, living like I was on parole, I realized I couldn't live in America. It was hard every 4 weeks having to report to the government. And I remembered one particular week lining up in the cold in New York in February for 4 hours in a line that stretched 4 blocks to be fingerprinted. And I mean, I understood, okay, September 11 had happened. I was a New Yorker. That hurt me deeply. And I understood the need for security. But it didn't make living in the US easy. And so I decided, sadly, that I had to leave my home, which was America, and move to Malaysia, my country of birth. And I did that. Now, the whole special registration thing was later ruled unconstitutional. President Obama got rid of it. But it was a painful memory. But that suffering, that pain, having to leave the country I love, leave my friends, leave New York City, that actually implanted in me a seed. And that seed is, I want to fight for human unity. I want to fight and stand for a world where we are not judged by the country we are born in, or judged for our religion, or judged for the color of our skin. I don't know why I was put in the watch list. Maybe it's because I'm brown, maybe it's because I didn't shave, maybe it's because I was born in a Muslim country, although I don't really embrace any one religion. But I don't want a world where people are judged for that. If you look at what's happening right now with Black Lives Matter, we can see that there's so much evolving that our species has to do, right? And that drive for unity, I implanted into Mind Valley. And the results were incredible. We're going to come to that in a moment. But the point is, my peak moments and my suffering both implanted in me a seed. Now, what was it for you? I want you to pay attention to the words of Steve Jobs. When he was giving his 2005 Stanford commencement address, Jobs said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever." This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. You have to look at the dots backwards and figure out what were those peaks, what were those sufferings that made you who you are. Now, the peaks are easy. The suffering is a more interesting one. But a beautiful thing about looking back at your suffering and trying to understand the lesson that it brought you is this. In the words of Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. When I was so angry at the world when I was put on that registration watch list. When I realized after I did this exercise that it implanted me with the seed for unity, it made Mind Valley an activist company. It's the reason why today we employ people from 60 different countries. Walking into our offices like walking into the UN in terms of its diversity. I'm so glad I went on that watch list. I'm so glad I went through that suffering. And it's a revelation, but your suffering will cease to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning. And that's what happens. So I want you to think of your peaks and your pain. And I want you to try writing that down. I'm going to give you some time. I'm going to just set a timer here with my phone. 3 minutes. Think about your peaks and your pain. And remember, you can repeat this exercise on your own, right? You can rewatch this masterclass anytime you want. Think about your peaks. Think about your pain. Now, you're not writing down what it meant to you. You're just writing down the peak, writing down the pain. As you write it down, I want you to remember this. Your past pain is often the breadcrumbs that will lead you to the meaning, values, and purpose of your life. That's a quote from the Buddha and the Badass. What were the most joyous moments of your life? Now, if you already did the exercise, awesome. Try going deeper. What other painful moments, what other peak moments do you have? A couple of tips to help you reflect better. What makes you really angry? Often that anger comes from you experiencing something. Maybe you were abused as a child, and so you get really angry if you see a parent that is yelling at a kid. Maybe you've experienced racism, which is why something like seeing injustice or learning about systemic racism means so much to you. Maybe as a woman you were underestimated once. Somebody else got a promotion that you deserve because you were a woman. And so, women's rights, women's empowerment means something to you. Your anger will often help you discover what was your past pain. Okay, now you finished step 1. Now we go to step 2, which is looking for your soul print. Now, when I did this exercise with Amir, so the sheet is over here, but you can see he made me write down, as we went through the stories, he made me write down, what are values or beliefs, in one word, that come to you when you think about these stories. Now, this is what I literally wrote down. What matters to me? What are my beliefs? What are my values? And I wrote down love, change, self-directed learning, questioning, innovation, futurism, transcendence, connectedness, compassion, growth, humanism, aesthetics, vision, happiness. Now yours are going to be different, But I want you to write down how every story led to, there's the timer going off. I want you to write down how every story leads to a value or a belief. So let me give you an idea of how this might work. Maybe you were abused as a child, okay? Kindness is what you now stand for because you never want to see another person be abused again. Maybe you were get passed on for a promotion because of your gender or your sexual orientation or the color of your skin. And so respecting diversity is what you now stand for. Maybe you had a peak experience where you created something so beautiful. So aesthetics is a value right now. I used to be a former photojournalist, and I once at one of my exhibitions presented at the University of Michigan. It was one of my peak experiences, which is why you'll see aesthetics and vision as part of my values. Now you'll also notice humanism there. You see that photo exhibit I did was of post-war Bosnia. I'd gone to Bosnia in 1998 after the genocide that had killed 100,000 people in the city. They were victims of a horrible war. And seeing the destruction in Bosnia made me really connect with humanism. It made me really upset about war, about senseless killings. And so humanism and wanting to bring cultural understanding became a value. I ended up giving up my job at Microsoft to join a nonprofit called ISAC that focused on cultural understanding between people across the world. So that experience of traveling, that experience as a photojournalist gave me these values. Now, as I'm giving you these ideas, I want you to write down what's coming up based on your peak and your pain. Now, again, let me be honest. When I did this exercise with Amir, it took about 3 hours, okay? I'm going to give you the method here, and I want you to do this on your own. Some of you who are joining my Be Extraordinary at Work program, we're going to go into this deeper. So now you're going to come up with a list. Now, as much as you can, make that list. And I'm going to keep talking to give you ideas, but keep writing the list. What's coming up? Okay, your list may be 5, it may be 10, it may be 15. Don't question yourself. When I made this list, the entire exercise was around 3 hours, but when I made this list, this entire list was done in about 15 minutes. Okay, we're going to do a speed round. So we're going to do it even faster. See what comes up. You may not discover all your foundational values in this masterclass, but if you discover just one, it's going to be a great guiding point for you. Okay, so obviously you now have a list. These lists represent your soul print. These are patterns of your soul, imprints on your soul based on what you've experienced in life. And now we come to step 3, which is distillation. So this is what Dreamer made me do next. He made me look at all of this and cluster them. So what I did was I added a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5 next to each of these. So for example, here's what the clustering looks like, okay? So transformation got a 1. I put it in bucket number 1. Transformation is very similar to growth, which I put a 1 next to growth. I put a 1 next to self-directed learning. I put a 1 next to transcendence. All of these relate to growth. I put a 2 next to compassion, connectedness, humanism. All of these relate to unity. And then I saw that there was a cluster related to creation, to change, to building, questioning, futurism, innovation. This is like the engineer in me. I gave that a 3. And then there were a couple related to love and happiness, literally love and happiness. I gave that a 4. So this is called clustering or distillation. You now want to put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and try to put these values into buckets. Now sometimes, so go ahead and do that now. Now sometimes we apply different words for values that we actually have in common, right? One person may say love, another person may say relationship, one person may say humanism, another person may say unity. It doesn't matter how the world defines it, it's how you define it. Cluster it based on your definition. To me, for example, change, aesthetics, vision, innovation kind of mean the same thing. Humanism, compassion mean the same thing. Words are we often have our personal connection to certain words. So again, you're going to add a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or 5. Now, when I did this, I found that there were certain buckets that had a lot of words. Amir told me, Dreamer, sorry, I sometimes refer to him as Amir because that's the name I knew him at, but I forget that he changed his name. I mean, I remember, but I'm so fond of him, and we had such a long history. So forgive me there, Dreamer, if you're watching. But Dreamer made me choose the buckets with the most number of words. So in mine, it was values related to innovation, values related to unity, and values related to self-growth. 3 is good. Those 3 are what you're going to focus on. So you guys ready? And again, don't worry, you can go back to this after the masterclass. I just want you to try to cluster a couple of things together for now, so you at least get a sense of how the methodology works. And now you finish step 3, distillation. Now we go to the most fun step, naming your values. I love this step. Now the names I chose for those 3 clusters are unity, transformation, and envisioning. So you see these values related to self-growth. I decided to choose the word transformation because I felt that encompassed everything. These, I choose the word unity because I felt unity was really what I was saying when I put down connectedness, compassion, and humanism. And for these, I decided to invent a word. The word I liked was envisioning. Envisioning. And that's how I came up with these 3 words, unity, transformation, envisioning. You are going to create your own version of these words. And then you might write a definition of it. This is how I defined it. So when I chose the word unity, I wrote it into a we type definition because obviously I lead a team and I wanted to infuse this into my team. If you're a freelancer, if you're a business of one, if you're working for a company, then this would be your statement. You don't have to write the statement. Writing the statement is just something you may want to do. But as long as you understand what the word means through that process of distillation, you're good. So what I came to understand is that I'm a fierce believer in diversity, humanism, environmentalism. I believe we as the human race are in an evolution towards a better future together. Unity is the idea of seeing similarities over differences and embracing the human race as a whole. And this is why, if you've been following Mindvalley, you realize that we release so much content based on unity. For example, on International Refugee Day, June 20th, we released an interview with a Syrian refugee. Because that matters to us. Standing up for that matters to us. When just a few weeks ago, in the middle of Black Lives Matter, one of our own employees recorded this incredible poem for Black Lives Matter that was released on our Instagram. Unity is such an important value. And if you walk through our office, we have such a massive area of diversity. As I said, 60 different nationalities in one office now. Now, the next one is transformation. Now, again, as I'm explaining to you mine, think about yours. Transformation to me is about making yourself the best person you can be through conscious self-evolution. Personal growth should be the most important thing in your life. Your personal growth comes before everything else. And the final one for me is envisioning, which means constantly reinventing ourselves to create a better future for us and the customers we serve. So we're always innovating, creating, inventing. For example, the Mindvalley app and our tech, right now it's accelerating so fast. Every month there's a new feature, there's a new, and some of these features are radical. We're going into augmented reality, we're going into machine learning, we're going into AI, all in the next 12 months because envisioning is part of our DNA. Now, what is it for you? Okay, so at this point, you have started to name these unique foundational values. And now we've finished step 4, naming your values. Now we come to step 5. Now step 5, I didn't even have a chance to cover in my book, but I want to show you what happens in step 5. Once you understand these values, you infuse them into your company or your brand. With Mindvalley, I made these values the core values of Mindvalley. If you go to our website, careers.mindvalley.com, you'll see how these values are reflected everywhere. Unity represents what we stand for. It represents what we put out. If you go to the homepage of Mindvalley, you will notice the diversity. If you watch videos on Mindvalley, you'll notice that around 5% of the time we talk about relationship, we will show an LGBT couple, because that's unity. It's embracing diversity. We reflect diversity in everything we do. It's part of that key value. That's adapting it to your brand. Transformation, obviously, because we're a personal growth company, and envisioning is that other unique aspect. Envisioning is where we are constantly evolving and innovating. The biggest complaint I was getting from employees who would leave Mindvalley is that you change things too fast. I can't deal with this change. And at first I thought I was wrong, and then I realized no. Change is one of my values. Constantly reinventing myself is one of my values. If I don't change, I die. If Mindvalley didn't evolve, we would have died out like many other publishing companies who were at our level 8 years ago. But we succeeded beyond our wildest dreams because of that innovation. So today on our website, we say, look, if you're joining Mindvalley, you got to be prepared for rapid change. If you cannot deal with change, this isn't the company for you. We make that our truth, and it shifted things. Now, it's not just about adapting these values to your company, you adapt them to your brand. So here's something really interesting. Working with my brand designer, this is what he made me put on Instagram. So 2 years ago, I was hardly on Instagram. It was actually Jay Shetty who convinced me that I needed to build my social media profile. And so my brand designer said, okay, you're going to post about 4 things. Okay, the first thing is Vishen himself, stories of me and my kids, of my life. But the other 3 things, you will clearly see how they relate to my 3 foundational values. Worldwide activist, Vishen the worldwide activist means unity. So this is where I am talking about worldwide issues from the perspective of unity. Vishen, the businessman, CEO, founder, entrepreneur, this is where I'm talking about envisioning. I'm talking about new technologies, new methodologies, new things coming to Mindvalley. And my value for transformation, this is where I become Vishen, the meta-human. Vishen, the person who is studying everything he can study in human transformation and sharing it with the world. So you see, every value gives you an identity. And if you're on social media, if you're branding yourself on LinkedIn, if you're branding yourself within the company, if you're going for an interview, you talk about these things. You say, look, this is what I believe, this is what I stand for, this is who I am. So today, if I was applying for a job, let's say I didn't own Mindvalley, the 4 things, the 3, other than being myself, the 3 things I'd want to bring out in that interview is, I'm passionate about transformation and I need to learn and grow. I'm passionate about creating things and I need to be in a position where I can invent, and I'm passionate about unity. It's important to me that the job I take is in a workplace that truly embraces diversity and that the company stands for the betterment of the human species. So you can bring this into your social media. This, for example, is an image. We never really used this ad, but this ad was for one of my books. The future belongs to the curious. Do you see the value there? The value there is envisioning. I'm talking about the future. The value there is transformation. I'm talking about curiosity in the sense of transformation. This was a social media post. When I find that something is powerful, breakthrough, and extraordinary, I bring it to the world. Okay, the grammar there is a little bit off because this was a prototype for my brand designer. But again, what am I doing there? I'm embracing transformation. This post was when I discovered the benefits of super slow strength training. I wanted to bring it to the world. I started a 3-year research project on super slow strength training. Why? Because transformation. So this is how you take your foundational values and you build your brand. And you do not have to be an entrepreneur. If you are, you use this to build your personal brand, but you must infuse this in your company. And if you are working for a company, you do this to build your unique identity so that your gifts are multiplied as you serve your company. But again, remember the beautiful destruction. You might realize that you are at the wrong company. That happens too. And so your soul, listen to your soul, because that might allow you to move on to where you're truly meant to be. But now you have successfully discovered how to find your soul print. So let's recap. You reflect on your peaks and your pain. You find your soul print by going through and listing your values and your beliefs. You go through the process of distillation. You name your values and you adapt to your brand. And now you understand the hidden forces guiding your decisions. Let's go back to that Rumi quote. What I found is that when I sit in my own place of patience, through my lens of unity, transformation, and envisioning, what I need flows to me and without any pain. I changed the nature of Mindvalley. We were doing many different things. I made us focus just on transformation. I had I had projects in all sorts of different apps and other entrepreneurial ideas, and I couldn't understand why they were failing. When I did this exercise, I understood my focus is transformation. When I focus on transformation, things are going to work out for me. And so I shut down other businesses. In some cases, I gave up my equity. I had a business on the side that had released $2 million in funding from Intel Ventures. I gave up my shares in that business because it didn't deal with what I really cared about, transformation. And so I was able to suddenly get clear on why I was here. Now, the other thing is that I was always like so driven by unity, but I was never really speaking up. When I understood that unity was my value, I insisted that Mind Valley becomes an activist company. In 2017, 1 year after I did this exercise, I changed my title to CEO Activist. And what this means is that I was clear that Mind Valley will never sit on the sidelines. We will always stand for what we believe in, driving towards unity. Now, when I made that decision, a lot of people thought, well, you're going to lose customers. It turns out customers loved it. 75% of consumers in America said they want CEOs and companies to take a stand. But you can't just randomly pick a stand. You got to go deep and understand why you are born, identify the right stand. And when you infuse that in your company because you genuinely believe it, magic happens. So I hope I've given you an idea on how to gain meaning through your suffering and thus make your suffering disappear. How to find your unique soul print, how to distill it and focus, how to give a name to these values that are now going to be driving you, and how to adapt your brand. And you may want to run this exercise on your own. Carve out an hour or two, go deep, come up with your version of envisioning transformation and unity, and see what happens. And I want to share with you this quote. I was reading the book, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. And this idea, this quote about Jobs stood out. At the root of his reality distortion field was his belief that the rules did not apply to him. He had evidence for this. In his childhood, he had often been able to bend reality to his desires. He had a sense that he was a chosen one. He thinks that there are few people who are special, like Einstein and Gandhi and the gurus he met in India, and he's one of them. I remember reading that in 2011 going, wow, that's really powerful, because Steve Jobs, he was able to pull off some incredible things. He was the most famous CEO, probably the most significant CEO of our generation. But he was also a mystic. And I wondered, what was Steve's secret? What was the secret of his reality distortion? What was the secret of bending reality? By the way, the word bend reality is used 3 times in that book. And now I think I get it. I don't, or at least I have a theory on what Steve Jobs was doing. Jobs was so true to his values, so remarkably true to his values. It guided him. He knew exactly what he wanted. He quit college to go to Reed College, and there he quit his classes to learn calligraphy. He later said that the study of calligraphy, Chinese calligraphy, made him appreciate fonts to such a degree that when he built the first computer, the first personal computer, there were many other computers in the market, but Macs took off because of the quality of their fonts. If you read Steve Jobs' biography, or even the biography of Richard Branson, the biography of anyone who's truly changing the world, the biography of Michelle Obama, you will notice that as they go through their life, you will see these values, and then you'll see these values reflected in their creation. That, I believe, is the secret of bending reality. It is the secret of the reality distortion field that Jobs spoke about. You see, we don't just bend reality by focusing on our wants. We bend reality by focusing and understanding our true inner wants, the wants from our soul. When we are pursuing the wants from our soul, life becomes easy. When we're pursuing wants from outside us, sometimes our soul has to pull us back, and it feels like an uphill climb. And this, my friends, is the message I want you to understand. So let's go into some advanced techniques, right? Now, if you like this idea, here's some advanced techniques that I'm now teaching at Mind Valley as part of my new program for bringing spirituality to entrepreneurs, to career people, to anybody who wants to completely transform their life. These are some of the ideas that has made The Buddha and the Badass, the book right here, this week as I'm recording this, the #1 business book in America on the Wall Street Journal. So the first thing is, obviously, identifying your soul print. But after you identify your soul print, how can you use this pattern of your soul print to attract the right allies, the right people, the right partners, the right customers, you can do that and create magnetic attraction. Remember I told you how I shut down my author department where we were getting 3,000 applications to be a Mindvalley author every year. Right now I don't do that because the biggest authors in the world, the right people, come to me automatically. And so I have a massive network. And when we come together, that's a picture taken in Croatia, you will notice famous Mindvalley authors there, my family, my friends, my team, everything to me. All of these people just come into my life at the right time. The second thing you learn is how to spark deep connections with these people and create win-win relationships. One of my authors texted me in the middle of this masterclass saying, hey, look, I booked this hotel for this event and I had to cancel due to quarantine and I'm about to lose 100K and it's going to be really tough. Can you support? Instantly, I said, you don't even have to ask. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to support you and your team. And I know that author would do the same thing for me. In all of my relationships, it's win-win. We don't keep score. It's instant win-win, and I connect deeply. When I show up in a city, my customers, my ex-employees, my friends, celebrities, people, famous athletes who are using Mindvalley all come together in my Airbnb or my home, or they give me a home because of the value of these deep connections. But that is because I'm radiating this directly from my core values, and that's what you're going to learn. So that's a picture of those are the last hanger-ons at a massive Mindvalley party in Croatia as part of Mindvalley University last year. When I moved to a city now, over 1,000 people moved with me, and we transformed the entire city into Mindvalley University, where we have something like 300 events over 30 days, and people from all around the world come together. That's how deep your level of connection goes when you're operating from this pure sense of values, because the right people who have similar values are drawn to you. But then again, you can go further. The next part that I'm now teaching is how to become an unfuckwithable masterpiece. Now, this is what it means. When you are so clear on who you are, on your seed, nothing can divert you. Criticism cannot push you back. You don't need praise to move forward. You are driven from an inner drive, from an inner power, and you're able to accelerate towards your goals with no distraction. Nothing stops you down. I use the word unfuckwithable masterpiece because unfuckwithable means you can't be fucked with. Nothing can stop you down. Masterpiece means you are unique in your own life. There is no one else like you. There may be people who share one or two values, but there's no one else exactly like you with that exact set of values, and you become a true masterpiece of a human being. Now, when you do this, a unique side effect is immunity to overwhelm. That's a speech I was giving just a few months back before COVID-19 hit. And you can see I'm talking about how to develop immunity to overwhelm. Did you notice Steve Jobs was CEO of two companies, Pixar and Apple? Elon Musk, SpaceX and Tesla, the world's top performers, multitask, but they are immune to overwhelm because they are so clear on who they are, and they are using, in my opinion, they are using forces that normal people do not use. You can learn to do this too. Next, you find your mission, your stand, and the power of boldness. As you see your success rate going up, what happens is that you're able to tackle bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger things. I look at it this way. When your soul sees you're listening to it and you are doing exactly what you are here to do, the universe passes you bigger and bigger challenges. And that's when your vision expands. But not only does your vision expand, it becomes easier to move towards that vision. Then we come to this. Moving from vision to execution with OKRs and OODA looping. These are some of the most powerful business tools I found to take those big visions and translate them to reality. OKRs, it's what Google uses, it's what Intel uses. OODA looping is a unique spin on a famous methodology I learned at Singularity University that I use to run my entire personal growth empire effortlessly. And I'm teaching that too. And finally, the concept of visionary leadership and activating your new identity. How do you just transform yourself into a new, more powerful version of yourself every month? And how do you create visions so bold you can lead the world with those visions? That is what I'm experimenting with right now. Mindvalley has hit an incredible success rate. The next thing is, as you'll see, we're going to go public on the NASDAQ. And so I'm upgrading my sense of identity to be the to be the founder of a NASDAQ listed company, and I'm upgrading our vision so that we can be one of the most successful edtech companies on the NASDAQ. And you're going to see that happen over the next couple of years. But again, it's coming from this philosophy, these ideas which I'm slowly bringing together and teaching on this new class on Mind Valley. So I'd like to invite you to check this out. And by the way, read about what other people are saying about these ideas. Go to stories.mindvalley.com and you will see thousands of stories from my students from my first program, Be Extraordinary, which was based on ideas from the Code of the Extraordinary Mind. My new program is called Be Extraordinary at Work, and it's based on ideas from this. And so I'm really excited to bring this new program to the world, and I want to invite you and give you a chance to enroll in this. The program is going to be starting on July 2nd. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more in a moment, but first, I want you to know this. At this point, you have two parts. You can take everything you learned here, and you can go deeper, refine your seed, understand those values, apply that to your business, and I'm sure you're going to be very successful. But you can also take a different part and decide that you want to go for full mastery. And here's what that part looks like. It's a part of living up to your true potential, understanding just how much power you have within you and being able to unlock that. It's the part of being able to thrive at work and life. This means that as you multiply your impact on your work, you thrive in both areas. I'm not talking about work that breaks you. I'm talking about where you actually get healthier, younger, happier as you're doing this work. You get to expand your network and impact thousands of people. I look at my life and I'm shocked at the number of followers, the number of people I'm able to impact. But it wasn't always this way. I had to find that seed within me before I could expand my influence. And you're going to learn the same thing. And finally, and this is one of my favorite things, people who study this program report that they can do 50% more for every hour they work. What would that mean to you? If I could show you how if I could show you how for every hour worked, you could do 50% more, what would that mean to your job? Well, for starters, it'll mean that what would previously take you 60 minutes would now take you 40. It would also mean that in an 8-hour day, you'd be able to get home in 6 hours. But of course, people like you'd probably work the entire 8 hours, but it's just that you'd be doing 12 hours of work in 8 hours. And so you have more time for holidays, more time for relaxation. But again, knowing the people watching this, you'll probably use that to just build and grow your impact. But think about the edge that's going to give you. So I am hyper productive. I'm about as productive as around 10 people because my brain is so optimized. But it's not just my brain. On the surface level, it looks like I know the latest productivity hacks, like I know the latest tools to use. But really, there's an inner core work that's happening here as well. I'm so specific on who I am, and I'm so tapped into this power from the universe. And that is the real secret. Now, if you find these interesting, I want to encourage you to enroll in my new program. It's called Be Extraordinary at Work, the secret spiritual art of creating extraordinary success at work. You can learn about it from mindvalley.com/work. And there's also information below this masterclass where you can go deeper. So let me tell you what I'm covering in this new program. It is 8 things. The first is how to get really aligned with your purpose. Truly, truly, truly aligned. And what this means is that you're living this life that you are so in tune with your purpose. Feelings of emptiness, aimlessness are distant memories. Every choice you make, every part you take are perfectly aligned, and things just get easy. I've received so many stories from people who were in awe at how their life just came together and became so much easier when they got aligned with their purpose. The second thing this program does is that it teaches you to grow your influence. When you're so clear on who you are and your purpose, other people flock to you. And what this means that you can become an inspiring thought leader. Now, if you work for a company, imagine what that means. Let's say you're a blog writer for a company. What if you could be a thought leader on writing for the web? Imagine what that would do for your career. Today, everybody needs to be even if you're working for a company, I believe everybody needs to make a brand for themselves, especially in an uncertain environment like what we have right now. That is the path to security, to growth, to wealth. And one of the things is that so many thought leaders flock to these ideas. I received a video from Matthew Russell, who's the DJ in the Cheat Codes, and he spoke about, and you can read this on stories.mindvalley.com, about how some of my ideas have completely transformed his life. And he sent me that video while he was playing at a massive festival in Europe. And so it's called Ultra Europe. And he thanked me for being able to inspire him to do that. What will be the massive, your version of the massive festival? And again, this isn't just for famous DJs. A lot of people around the world have seen their thought leadership just grow because of this. Now, check this out from Reshma Mulani. Before the program, even though I was equipped to teach yoga and meditation, I couldn't find a platform to do so. I taught around 6 to 8 courses a year. Thanks to the program, I've completed teaching 3 courses since mid-April and 3 more lined up for May. Her business just exploded. Now, number 3, you improve teamwork. So what I'm teaching in this program, Be Extraordinary at Work, is basically how to build powerful teams. And one of the things that's unique about what I've built is, even though my company is based in Mind Valley, people from around the world flock to join Mind Valley. You learn how to make your business, your project so attractive that people flock to you. If you want to see this effect, go to YouTube and type in Mind Valley cover letters, and you'll see thousands of cover letters from people around the world aiming for jobs at Mind Valley. This is a beautiful letter I got from Serena Sukri, who's one of the most famous female politicians in Malaysia. She said, self-transformation lessons and belief systems that took me 4 years to discover, Vishen taught to my team in 5 hours. She invited me to train 700 members of a team. This man, Glenn Middelhoff, who is in the Netherlands, raved about how his team culture changed when he applied these ideas. So not just you grow, but your team grows. Number 4, you learn to strengthen your growth mindset. What this means is that you're constantly growing and evolving. You become the best version of yourself every single day. You're getting better and better and better. Most people stagnate. You end up in a perpetual cycle of growth. And this growth isn't just in your career. It's in your relationships. It's in your happiness. It's in your health. Again, so many letters we get from people who are amazed at how they do this because they want to improve in their career, but every aspect of their life grows. 5, you learn to think bigger and bolder. This is where you're so tapped in. You know the forces you have. You're able to handle massive projects effectively, and you're playing a bigger game in every way. And when you start playing that bigger game, your business grows, your income grows, your career grows. This is Masha Waka. She was just listed in the Forbes 30 under 30. She's somewhere in the Middle East, I think in the UAE. And in the picture, in Forbes, she said she posed with a picture of my book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, because of the impact it had on her. Will you be in a Forbes 30 under 30 or 40 under 40 or some other business list? But that is the kind of stuff that happens when you truly learn to tap into these forces that our education system never teaches us how to use. Number 6, you enhance your self-awareness. And I defined what that meant earlier. You're so aware of what's going on in your head. You can optimize your thoughts. You've progressed far beyond questioning yourself or your choices. You're now applying your skills towards the most high-impact projects and pursuits, feeling deeply fulfilled and at ease with the path you've chosen. Once again, so many stories from people who have accomplished this. Number 7, optimize your business. What I'm going to teach you here is how to basically make your business run like a machine, so it is so flawless and easy for you. And what this means is that your business is thriving, profitability goes up, you're getting more done in less time, your business is more scalable. And a lot of personal growth teachers actually have used ideas that I've designed in their own business. This is just a couple of them. And even if you are working for someone, check out this from Yo B Yen in Singapore. She said after taking this course, she overhit her sales targets by 10%. Not only did she hit her target, she was 110% above her target. And finally, all of this teaches you to become unstoppable. Think about what that will mean in your life. It means that nothing can stop you. Nothing can slow you down. You just progress beyond your wildest dreams. And that's really what I enjoy teaching students. So if you found these ideas interesting, if you want to go deeper with me, Be Extraordinary at Work is my new program on Mind Valley. It is actually the most advanced program Mind Valley has ever produced in the sense that it's not a traditional quest like we normally do. It's coaching. So I'm going to be coaching you over 6 weeks. We're going to be getting on calls twice a week for 6 weeks, July 2nd to August 11. And this is how it works. Okay, so July 2nd to August 11, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. if you're in Hong Kong or Singapore. And I'm sure you can do the conversion if you're in Europe. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we'll be taking calls. Now, you'll be participating in these calls on Zoom. There'll be a facilitator there. Each call is 60 minutes. It's 20 minutes teaching, 10-minute discussion. 20 minutes teaching, 10-minute discussion. These calls are fun. All the calls are recorded, so if you miss a call, it'll be available for you in your Mindvalley app. You don't have to worry about that, and you own these recordings for life. Discussions will be happening in our online community, so you'll have a lot of amazing people to interact with, and I'm frequently there posting and sharing insights. And finally, in these 6 weeks, you'll be given things to directly apply to your life and business. And this is where the change happens. Now, I want to share something really beautiful with you. This program started out because I was asked to teach a class to CEOs in Marina Del Rey. That's the actual website. It was called Becoming Superhuman at Work. It was a 2-day seminar. It was priced at $3,995 for CEOs. And it was at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey. And it was CEOs, Hollywood celebs, professional sports people whom I directly coach. And they would pay around $8,000 all in all, coming, hotel, travel. So $8,000 is really what many of these people were prepared to pay to come and spend 2 days with me on a Wednesday and Thursday in the middle of a workday. I had to cancel the entire thing when it went into quarantine. This was supposed to happen just last month. And if you go to the website, you will see that many of the ideas that were discussed there are now in Be Extraordinary at Work. But Be Extraordinary at Work, so I've been developing this curriculum for a while, is not $8,000, it's $499. $499 live coaching, and you don't have to travel to the Ritz-Carlton and Marina Del Rey. Although I bet that would be really nice to be in a room together. But we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing that in a Zoom call together. Several hundred of us over 6 weeks. And it's going to be an amazing group of people. Now, a couple of things. The actual value of this program is about $2,000. Compare it to any other coaching program out there, it's around $2,000. I'm giving it for $499 because I'm using these live Zoom calls to fine-tune the teaching, to learn from you, to fine-tune it. And I will probably re-record it, maybe later, maybe in the future, 1-2 years from now. But the most important thing is you're getting the live experience. And because you're getting the live experience, you're going to be saving big. So that's the first bonus. The second bonus is that if you enroll today, I'm also going to give you a video. This was a training that I did for CEOs in San Diego several years ago on 7 keys to transforming your company culture. So whether you're part of a company or you're in a team or you're running a company or a business, these are the things I bring into Mindvalley to completely transform the culture so the company is thriving. And finally, this is how you can get it. So directly below this masterclass, you should see a whole page where you can read about the program and enroll, or go to mindvalley.com/work/special to see full information and enroll there. And your special unlock price is below this masterclass, so do not close this page. Now, I want you to know that if you have any questions, check it out and see, dive in the program because you're protected. So the point is, if you're buying a house, you wouldn't put money in a house unless you went in the house and checked it out. We have the same philosophy here. If you scroll down below, you will see that this entire program comes with a 15-day risk-free guarantee, which means that you're literally protected. You can enroll now, and over the next 15 days, the first 2 lessons are going to be up. You can go through those lessons, and if you don't like anything, maybe you don't like the quality of my mic, no problem, just get a refund. And getting a refund is super easy. But first, what I want to show you is you also get lifetime access, free upgrades, limited time discount. You will own the content for life, and I constantly upgrade this content. All of that is free. Now, if you want to get a refund, it's super easy, and you can go actually check out this page right now. Go to mindvalley.com/refund. You choose the program. It takes about 2 minutes. Your refund is instantly issued. We might ask a question such as, why are you asking for a refund? Give us feedback, but that's just for feedback. You can say, you can leave it empty. You'll still get a refund. Mindvalley makes it super easy. It's part of our ethos. So you literally get to try this out for free without having to make up your mind, without having to make a decision at any point within 15 days. If you don't like this, get your money back automatically. Remember that link, mindvalley.com /refund. Super easy, right? Now, when you sign up, you're going to get a welcome guide that will explain exactly how to use the system. So you don't have to worry about anything. It's really, really, really clear. And as you scroll down below, you can directly enroll. Just look at that enroll option. Now, some of you may want to enroll with Mindvalley Quest All Access. Quest All Access means rather than get just this program for $4.99, you want to unlock everything in Mindvalley, and we make that a no-brainer. For $5.99 a year, so this is an annual subscription, all of Mindvalley, every quest is unlocked for you, including this program. Now, this is only available now. Every quest is unlocked for you, including this program. So this program is not, because it's live coaching, it's not part of Quest All Access, but we'll bundle it in. So you can, so for just $100 extra, build every year, $5.99, you get a full Mindvalley subscription. And again, you can cancel anytime. Quest All Access is truly remarkable, and I think you guys are going to love it. And finally, if you want to get your team onto this, if you want to get, say, you have 4 or 5 people in your company, maybe 100 people in your company, we want to get them on Quest All Access, or you want to get them on Be Extraordinary at Work, email betterteams@mindvalley.com and we'll sort that out. Okay, so again, scroll down below, you will see the order menu. You can enroll for $4.99. You're going to get a welcome email. And at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, July 2nd, we'll be in a Zoom call together. And your life is about to go through a massive transformation. And one of the things which I can say is that you will see your productivity go up by at least 50% in 6 weeks. At least 50% in 6 weeks. And this program is going to change the way you work. It's completely going to change the way to work. In fact, I want to add this. If your productivity doesn't go up by 50% in 6 weeks, directly email us. Email us directly. I'll give you my email. It's hellovision@mindvalley.com, and you will get a refund, a full refund. That is how much we believe in this program. That's how much I believe in this program, and because I've seen that so consistently. So now you have literally nothing to worry about. Okay, so scroll down below and enroll. And I recommend you take the all access option because it's such incredible value. As you go through Be Extraordinary at Work, I'm going to be, of course, dropping in ideas from so many different Mindvalley philosophers and teachers. All of their programs are now going to be open to you as well for just an extra $100 a year. Think about the value for that, right? So all access includes 40 programs, all unlocked on the Mindvalley app. And you're really, really, really going to like it. If you want to go deeper in that, go to mindvalley.com/access to read about that and what it includes. Now, let's go on to some FAQs. So, first thing is, classes and schedule. July 2nd to August 11, 6 weeks, every Tuesday and Thursday. Expect a 1-hour class, 30 minutes homework. 1-hour class, 30 minutes homework. That's 3 hours a week for 6 weeks. Too much time? Bullshit. Take that 3 hours away from your regular job, because what's going to happen at the end of the 6 weeks? You're able to do 50% more. So yes, this program does require some time in the beginning, but you're buying back so much more time for the rest of your life. Number 2, remember, this is only for this broadcast. If you don't enroll by July 2nd, that's it. It's done. Everything I'm talking about is only for this broadcast. This is unique. It's not, because I'm teaching this live, this is not something that's just going to be available forever on Mindvalley. The recordings might be available, but the experience of going through this in live Zoom calls with me is unbeatable. How is the program structured? Well, 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you a principle, 10-minute discussion. 20 minutes principle, 10-minute discussion. Sometimes the calls may go over. I may decide to stay back and answer questions, okay? But you're not required to stay beyond 60 minutes, and then you will get homework assigned. It is very useful if you read the book as you're going through this program. You can get the book on Amazon, or you can get the book, just get it from Amazon. That's the easiest place. I think you can get the Kindle copy for under $8, something like that. And what kind of transformation can I expect from the program? I've gone deep in this, but again, you can find out more at mindvalley.com/work/special. So Folks, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to have you and be extraordinary at work. Thank you for going through this masterclass with me, and I cannot wait to have you as one of my coaching students. So we're on an amazing journey. And all I want to do is I want to make sure that everything I've learned as an entrepreneur here in Mind Valley is available to entrepreneurs, to people who care about the work they do all across the world, so that together we can really make a dent in this universe. Can't wait to see which of you will be the next Steve Jobs. So scroll down below, click enroll, and I'll see you July 2nd. Thanks, guys.